Okay, so we're going to have a look at the Comic Maker app, and we're going to have a go at making our very own comic. Once you've opened this app up, in the top left of the screen you click on Create a Comic, and that gives you some basic layouts that you can use to make your comic. There's a whole range of different ones there. I'm just going to choose this one to get me going, and that will open up a page for my comic. Now down the right hand side of the screen you've got some tools that you can use to bring in pictures and draw on your comic. On the left hand side there's a little pull out tab which shows you the pages that you've made as you make them. And when you want to add an additional page, in the top right hand part of the toolbar there is a rectangle with a white cross on it, which is to add another page. So if I click that one, I can choose another layout, and I can insert it above or below the next page, and then you can see that I have 2 pages now to my comic. And if I push that little tab back to the left, it'll just tuck itself in and hide itself away, and I can then roll up and down to make my comic. To add pictures to your comic, it's as simple as using either the camera tool, which is the top tool there, to take a photo of something that's in front of you. You can use the second button to add pictures from your camera roll or from your photos in your album, and the third one is an option to add pictures from the library of photographs that come with the app itself, which includes a whole lot of backgrounds and characters and various other things that you can use there. So I'm going to use the second button to add something from my camera roll. I've created a folder for a whole lot of photographs that I've been using to build this little story, How Many Seeds in a Pumpkin, a primary math story. And once I've added that picture in, you'll notice it has a line around the outside and some circular pull handles which I can use with my finger just to resize the photograph and move it around by touching it. If I touch somewhere else on the screen, that will put the picture into position and de-highlight it or deselect it. Touching it again once will highlight it, and that will allow me to do some more options to it. And you can see a toolbar has appeared now that will allow me to do some other things to the photograph, including arrange which layer it belongs to, whether it's above or below another picture, whether I want to add a shadow or do some other things to that. So I'm just going to touch another part of the screen. Now I'm going to add a second photograph from the same collection. So we'll have a couple of photographs here, and again that's gone into the wrong location, so I'm just going to pinch that photograph in and then move it around, touch it again to move it around into position, and I'll just keep moving that way. Whoops, chose the wrong one there. You can see I can just keep going like that, adding some more photographs as I go. There is a green handle there that will allow you to spin a photograph around if it's facing the wrong way. It's a bit like the ones you use in the Microsoft Word program or the Microsoft Office products. Very similar sort of resizing handles. So I'm just going to spin that one around as well. And oops-a-daisy, and resize that one to fit in that last location. spin this one around as well using that little green tool that we mentioned. And there we have our first page for the comic. If I click on the ABC tool on the toolbar on the right hand side, I can choose to add text with borders or no borders, just as simple text, or it can be contained in a speech bubble or something else. If I choose to add it as a speech bubble, I can then tap on my comic and I can move it around the same as I can move around anything else, and I can type whatever I like in there. The speech bubbles or the text boxes can be resized with the sizing handles, the same as the pictures themselves. And it gets a bit tricky sometimes. If you click on the text box, you actually are highlighting the picture rather than the text box. The point of the speech bubble can be moved by that little yellow one on the top. Now in this particular comic program, you can't, if you move the text box, for example, if I want the text box to go over here, at a certain point it will disappear below the picture and it will tuck itself in. And I can, using the arrange tool, I can move it backwards and forwards, but it actually works much better if you put it on top of the image itself in this particular program. Some other Comic Maker programs are a little more friendly in that regard. But that's basically it. When we want to save it, we use the rectangular icon in the top right of the screen with the arrow facing to the right, and pushing that allows us to export this comic as a photo to our photo library, or we can print it or email it, do some other things. I'm going to save it to my library. I'm going to deselect page 2 because that one hasn't been made, and I'm going to export that. So that one's gone to my photo library as a full comic page. The program itself also gives me other options. If I close it there, it goes to the front page of my program here, and it's now saved as Comic 1 and Comic 2. If I open that up, I can continue working on it. So it builds its own little book. Now this is a free program, so you can see that a few ads have popped up there. Just close those when they come up. Because it's a free program, that's part of the part of what you have to put up with, but it's not too bad given that it's pretty easy to make little comics there. So that's a quick tutorial on how to use Comic Maker.